Hello everybody, SMA Watts here, and we're going to do a deck tech on the deck I played today in Classic Heirloom. It is a Tempered Steel deck, uh, a variation of the Tempered Steel decks from Standard a couple years ago, adapted for the Classic Heirloom card pool. Um, though I think I need to dig a little deeper into the card pool, figure out there might be a couple better choices in here. Though this is the next event, we'll have a different card pool to select from, and hopefully one or two things that were kind of close on the border will move in. Um, so what we're playing is the basic concept of the deck is this is sort of a standard white weenie deck, except instead of playing lots of Savannah Lions, Crusades, and like Paths or Swords or Journeys to Nowhere or whatever, instead our creatures are almost all artifact creatures. We're playing Tempered Steel, which is a 3 mana double anthem effect. And we get to play Dispatch, which is when you have Metalcraft, a more powerful version of uh, Swords to Plowshare, since they don't gain life. The drawback to this is that our creatures are in without Tempered Steel and without other synergies going on, are individually not very good. We're playing 0 mana 1/1s, 1 mana, like on their own. I don't think any creature except for Glinthawk, which you can't play by itself, um, has a power greater than its casting cost. In fact, no, none of them do. But they synergize incredibly well. Quartermunculus. Now, let's go through our actual creatures. So first we have Alphamir. Um, this guy really should be Vault Scourge, the 1/1 flying lifelinker for 1 and a Phyrexian black, but that's not legal in the environment. It's also possible he should have been Porcelain Legionnaire. Uh, would have been paying 2 life for a 3/1 first strike rather than a 2/1. He's probably the worst creature in our deck. But he might not make it into the next iteration. Quartermunculus is potentially very good. A 1 mana 2/2 is historically quite powerful. Um, and that's pretty much all he is. He synergizes with all the rest of the artifact stuff as he is an artifact. They do count each other if you have a double homunculus draw. They can be pretty powerful. All right, Dispatch. Like I said, this is when you have Metalcraft, a more powerful version of Swords to Plowshares, as it just exiles the creature. They don't get any life. They don't find a land. It doesn't go into their library. It's just gone. If you don't have Metalcraft, this is Twiddle, except with less upside. So this is a sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's terrible card. But it feels like most of the time this is pretty powerful in the deck. Apocryphite is probably wrestling with Alphamir for worst creature in the deck. Um, it sits in a really weird spot because it covers one of the things the deck's bad at. The deck's bad at long game, but on the flip side, it's not very. It's only kind of good against some deck. Like it's very good against some decks, but it's only kind of good against most decks. Like really against something like a Grixis Control or a deck that's relying heavily on 1 for 1 or board sweepers. That has to keep dealing with it. The fact that it's a 4/4 every 3 turns is good, but it seems a little like it probably should not be in the main deck. It's probably fine in the sideboard for the right matchups, but it's as a 2 mana 1/1 that might come back into play as a 4/4 2 turns after we're hoping the game's over. Not really what we're looking for. Ethersworn Canonist was, I mean, it's a 2 mana 2/2, and it's an artifact creature, so it's got some upside going for it. It also is pretty good if you play it early, at stemming your opponent from doing too much. Um, it prevents them from dropping multiple creatures a turn. It it can give you a huge advantage. It also shuts off a storm deck. They have to kill the other Sworn Cannon, so they just can't do anything. Um, it's not spectacular though. Ghost Quarters were a main deck decision to try and combat Tron or decks with very greedy mana bases. I don't think I would actually. But one thing I will say is I think my mana base was too greedy. I think I needed at least 19 lands, possibly 20, because you really want to be able to drop Tempered Steel on 3. And I struggled with that. So I think we might have needed. I might need to figure out how to make the mana base a little bit more uh, flexible for me because it's not quite where it needs to be. Glinthawk has the distinction of being one of the only non-artifact permanents in the deck. In fact, there are only 3 permanents in the deck. There are only 3 cards in the deck that are not artifacts. One of them's a spell. One of them's Tempered Steel. The other one's Glinthawk. And it's just a 2-mana, 1-mana 2/2 flyer for one that you bounce an artifact when it comes into play. I wish there was a little bit more synergy with the bouncing, but it works out well with Memnite, and a lot of the 1-mana artifacts just mean it's a 2-mana 2/2 flyer, which is still reasonable. That's what it really comes down to. Most of the time, it's a 2-mana 2/2 flyer. Every once in a while, it's a 1-mana 2/2 flyer. Glinthawk Idol is, in my opinion, probably strictly better than Glinthawk. It gets affected by Tempered Steel. It gives it can become it avoids sorcery speed removal for creatures, and sometimes it gets turned on for free, which is nice. But for the most part, it's just a very solid, hard to deal with evasive threat. Memnite is what enables super aggressive starts with this deck. I mean, like a Memnite Glinthawk Pestermite draw. Like if you draw a Glinthawk, a Memnite, a Signal Pest, and a Court Homunculus on a 2-land hand, you don't even really need Tempered Steel, as you might just outrace them. So, our sideboard's not very good. All I can say is that Shrine of the Legions probably should have been in the main deck instead of Apocryphite, possibly instead of Alphamir. Didn't have enough lands in the main deck. Not sure Ghost Quarter was the right call. And these were hedges against things no one was playing. Like I didn't see any mono red burn, and I only saw like one person playing or 2 people playing very black heavy control decks. So my sideboard was very much a guess, and I need to be a little more familiar. I haven't played Classic Heirloom in a while. I need to get a little more familiar with the actual metagame.